What can I do for you, sir?
Mrs. Sanders, I'm a private detective. We must talk about your husband and his ties to Sarah Hawkins. Can I come in?
You may. However, before we go any further, please know that my husband died yesterday.
That is precisely what brings me here.
Well, well, look who's here. You know each other.
Our paths crossed, briefly. The brave detective has a talent for sticking his nose into my business.
I bump into her every time I'm investigating someone's death.
It's a small island, detective. My island. It's better that it's you bumping into me.
You're investigating Francis' death. Why? Who hired you?
I spoke to Francis before he died. His story suggests a link to a case I'm working on.
Well, since this business has got nothing to do with me, I'll be in your husband's office, Irene. We'll carry on later.
Very well, Miss Baker. This way, Mr. Pierce. And do make yourself comfortable. It would seem that you have much to tell me. May I inquire as to when you had the opportunity to talk to my husband?
Yesterday, I met him at the hospital. He spoke to me about Sarah Hawkins.
Oh, of course he spoke to you about her. That's all he talked about. Sarah Hawkins and her paintings. Please forgive my tone. The fact is that I have not been allowed to see him since he was interned. You, on the other hand, a perfect stranger, were able to see him and even talk with him the day he died. How was he? Were you present when he had this attack? What happened?
I expected to find you more grief-stricken than this by the death of your husband.
I do not like the tone of your allusion, sir. I had long months to weep every tear in my body, and to accept, if not my fate, at least that of my husband. And so I'm sorry to disappoint you if you're expecting more hysteria and grieving widow in my voice. Rest assured, however, my anger is real. I need to understand. How could this happen? In a reputed institute? And right before your eyes? Did you not do anything to help him?
Mrs. Sanders, I understand your grief, and I extend my deepest condolences to you. But I had nothing to do with the death of your husband. I've just arrived on Darkwater. I'm investigating the death of the Hawkins family.
The death of the Hawkins family? You mean it was not an accident? This accursed island knows only tragedy after tragedy. You too would be advised to flee it like the plague. Oh, I'm tired, Mr. Pierce. I would be grateful if you could tell me what you expect of me, and then leave.
Did your husband talk to you about Sarah Hawkins' visitor? A shambler, to use his precise terms.
Well, you can imagine that's all he talked about. It's exhibited at the center of the gallery. No better place for the painting that endowed him with the privilege of such a shameful and miserable end to his life.
Hold on. The Shambler is a painting by Sarah Hawkins.
Who else to paint such horrors? Take a look for yourself, if you feel so inclined.
It is my only lead at this stage. I suppose I have nothing to lose.
Then you have paid no heed. For my part, I refuse to set foot in that gallery again. But if you're so eager to see it...
Thank you, Mrs. Sanders. I won't be long. Did she really care for him after all? day the Shambler came into the Sanders' lives. A house of artists. A house of artists. Frances Sanders and Sarah Hawkins were close. Friends, even? Sanders' accession register. He wrote beside the Shambler, "Finally." What did Sarah Hawkins fear so much that she didn't want to sell the painting? He finally won. Was Sanders aware of his imminent doom? He didn't want Sanders to have the painting. She must have felt devastated. Was she jealous of Sarah Hawkins? The Shambler. I need to see it. Let's see what this cylinder has to say once it's inserted in a phonograph.
Irene, I made a mistake. I fear that it might be too late for me. Nobody should enter, except to burn everything. I never had the courage. Pay somebody to do it. He's inside my head. I see him behind my eyelids each time I shut my eyes. I can't take any more. I can't hold him back. Forgive me.
That accursed gallery. Those accursed paintings. That accursed Sarah.
A strange Amerindian pendant. I could use one of those. Strange. For months, Sarah Hawkins refused to part with her painting, to finally give it away for nothing. Another volume of the Reverend's wife's diary.
That's twice you've stepped on my toes, Detective. Try not to make a habit of it.
I've got a lot of bad habits.
Some can be more fatal than others. What have you come looking for in this gallery?
I have a well-off client in Boston who heard about the death of Francis Sanders and wanted me to size up his estate before making an offer to his widow.
Perfect, Detective. The pretext? The body language? I would have bought it if it was the first time I'd seen your face. You're a good talker, Pierce. Your story will do for the moment.
And you? What brings you to the Sanders home?
I'm here on business. Irene asked me to liquidate all these paintings. She doesn't intend to hang around here for long.
Why you?
Believe it or not, there aren't many collectors on Darkwater. It needs someone with a network, and a means of transport to the mainland. A choice that comes down to Fitzroy and me. And I'm far more pleasant, wouldn't you say?
These artifacts date from pre-Columbian times. Why was he so interested in old weapons? The man transformed an entire wing of his manor into an art gallery. What the hell was that? Damn. This dagger looks different.
You sure you won't be needing that hand? You're losing it, Detective. At this rate, you're right. The bottle will get you before I do.
You didn't see anything.
I saw you within an inch of putting a dagger through your forearm. Did I miss something more interesting?
It's nothing. I think I just drank too much.
That goes without saying. If you can't tell the difference between reality and fiction, then you're in real trouble.
I ran, screamed, broke a pane of glass. You were in the next room and you didn't hear a thing.
If I hadn't heard a thing, I'd still be in the other room. The door was blocked. I got in as soon as I could. I like to look after my goods.
You mean me?
Don't flatter yourself, sweetheart. I'm talking about the contents of this gallery. And by the way, where do you think you're going with that dagger?
It saved my life. It's an extraordinary dagger.
You should talk to Algernon Drake. He's an antique dealer here on Darkwater. He'll tell you all about it. From what I saw in the ledgers, it was him who sold it to Sanders.
The creature. This dagger was the only weapon capable of pushing it back. If Hawkins was trying to get rid of this shambler, she might have made contact with Drake. This antique dealer has a good knowledge of the occult. I have nothing to lose by meeting him.
You've got your spunk back. Go where you want. I'm staying here to talk business with Irene.
Where's the bookseller? Another volume of the Reverend's wife's diary. The Book of Zion is the foundational work behind Helena Blavatsky's theosophical movement. Its followers place truth on the same footing as a religion. No. What happened here? Let's start over. Where did they break in from? Blood. Seems like amateur work. Someone tall left this footprint. A man, probably. This burglar seems to be rather clumsy. What killed all these animals? What sort of thief leaves his tools at the crime scene? What happened that made the burglar flee before finishing his work? What the... Charles Hawkins? Looks like the symbol rejected Hawkins. Where did I see it? What sort of power did Sarah Hawkins' painting possess? Sarah Hawkins helped hide something in this safe. Drake put in a great deal of effort to hide whatever is in here. Everything is linked to the Sarah Hawkins case. Drake left instructions on how to find the combination of his safe. Is everyone on this island taking sleeping pills? What link did he find between Charles Hawkins and an old amulet? Arkham editions? Never heard of him. How many volumes are there in this collection? Another volume by Arkham Editions. Arkham Editions? Never heard of him. How many volumes are there in this collection? Another volume by Arkham Editions. Arkham Editions? Never heard of him. Things are not looking good. Kind of chalice. Freud's The interpretation of dreams. It's the work that laid the foundations of psychoanalysis at the beginning of this century. Cylinders that Drake tried to hide. I should perhaps listen to them.
This man's condition is deteriorating.
What says Dr. Fuller? It's his patient, after all.
He's busy with Captain Fitzroy. He specifically asked us not to bother him when that's the case.
Oh, of course. I'll see what I can do. Mr. Blake, can you hear me? I'm Dr. Colden. We'll take care of you.
There's nothing we can do. I tried talking to him. He's catatonic.
Very well. I'll examine him. 30-year-old subject. Severe hypothermia. Erythematous papules around the eyes and eardrums. Necrosed palpebral tissue. Lord, this smell. His skin shows abnormal loss of color and seems dried out. He's totally dehydrated. His fingertips and toes seem to feature a slight ring under the skin, tender at the touch, slightly sticky. Severe malnutrition. Swollen abdomen with traces of petechia. Doesn't seem like an edema. Slight protuberances seem to indicate the presence of a foreign body.
So, Doctor, an opinion?
I'm not sure I have the necessary knowledge to treat this man.
Don't say that. You're our most worthy doctor after Dr. Fuller.
Some of his symptoms are beyond my comprehension.
What did you find?
Did you examine his abdomen? It would seem there's something inside.
He hasn't eaten in days. Are you certain it's not an edema?
No. Can't you recognize an edema? Pushing with your finger won't leave a trace. And look at these bumps.
It's not like he could be pregnant.
Whatever it is, this man has something inside him that shouldn't be there. We should operate on him at once.
Dr. Fuller said not to worry, that the edema would go away by itself.
You know, I'm not sure Dr. Fuller is telling the truth. In spite of the muscle contractions, his arms seem limp.
Yes. They can't have decalcified, not at this rate.
And yet, if there is a bone in this arm, it's softer than that of a newborn baby. What about his cranium?
It's soft at the touch. It does seem like the skull of a baby.
Look at these sticky rings growing at his fingertips. What can be happening?
I'm sure you'll find an explanation. You have to.
I see signs of hypodermoclysis, But he's still dehydrated. When was his last IV?
He's constantly under perfusion. I've even gone beyond the recommended dose to no avail. And you won't believe me, but when we bathed him earlier...
He seemed to feel better?
Yes. Like he needs an aquarium, not a perfusion. But that doesn't explain his condition.
I almost don't believe it myself, but these symptoms are not those usually associated with the human species.
What do you mean? Don't tell me you believe in extraterrestrials.
No. This poor man is from our world, all right. But his body is undergoing unnatural mutations. And this transformation is killing him. His body simply can't cope.
Where could he have gotten such an infection?
I pray that it's not here.
Dr. Colden, may I know what you're doing to my patient?
What I'm doing? How about what you've done to him?
Let us calm down, my dear Marie. I don't appreciate your tone, nor your insinuations. I've done to him what I do to all my patients, provide him with the best available care.
Your imagination is without limit. It's your homemade drug again, is it not? Those people are not your guinea pigs.
There, there. What have you seen to put you in such a state?
These are alarming symptoms. If we don't act, he'll die.
Do you believe that? I'm not as convinced, you see. I even think this man has a strong chance of completely healing from his ailments.
No, Doctor. This patient isn't himself anymore. He's dying.
Really? What do you mean by isn't himself?
He's changing. His physical characteristics, they are more animal than human now.
Fascinating. An animal, you say? Could you be more precise? Cephalopod, perhaps?
This amuses you.
Your reaction does. I know your thirst for knowledge, Doctor. It's your innocent worries for this man that have you overreacting.
For this man, and the others whose medical files you've been hiding.
I have to protect my discovery. These people owe me their life, but the world isn't ready yet. It will be, in time.
I will not let you do this.
You disappoint me, Marie, but I still have hope you'll one day share my point of view. In the meantime, take care of your own patients and try not to forget who you're dealing with.
Was that a threat? What did he mean?
It was a warning. Dr. Fuller is this institution's founder and one of our profession's most influential voices. My word is of no weight against his. If I continue to protest, I will only ruin my reputation and career.
It's scandalous. Can't we do anything? Is there no evidence of his crimes?
Oh, that evidence exists. I'm sure of it. I need to find the missing medical files.
And where would you find those? In his office? What if you get caught?
I'd rather not think about that. I'm counting on your discretion.
Of course, Doctor. You can count on me. I'll keep Mum.
No, you're pulling my leg. I'm not joking. I saw the schedule. She's alone in the bathroom again. And she still says nothing to that old witch, Donovan?
Oh, listen to the way you talk, you naughty
Watch
girl.
out for the water, Doctor.
And the answer is no. You can imagine that she doesn't dare say a thing.
Chronic insomnia. Like half the island.
Oh well, at least we won't have to clean for a while.
Doctor, please. My chest. Oh.
His perfusion of a semi-physiological solution doesn't seem to work. He's undergoing a ventricular fibrillation. Nurse? Deborah, come and help me, please. His potassium level is too high. Replace it with 2% glucose solution with insulin, calcium, and sodium bicarbonate.
I'll tend to it right away.
Thank you. He's in your hands. Hay fever. What's he doing here? He broke his back in an accident down by the docks.
Ah, the whaling station. What's wrong with me?
What are you talking about?
Doctor, that you?
Yes, it's Dr. Colden. Tell me what happened.
It's the old whaling station. See?
What did you see there?
Nothing. Nothing at all. The floor was all rotten and I fell straight through.
And that's how you broke your back?
Perhaps. No idea. Passed out.
Why did nobody tell me about her admission? Mrs. Sanders? She recently came back from the surgical block. She's stable. Given her file, a nephrectomy would have been inevitable. But Fuller was able to save her kidney. What is the boiler room key doing here? The key to the boiler room. Not where I expected to find it. The key to the boiler room. Not where I expected to find it. Intoxication from breathing organic vapors. Another insomniac. I should find the cause for such a widespread trouble.
Dr. Colden, here you are at last. This patient was again brought up to the psychiatric wing. We've been following the treatment you prescribed, but the dysgeusia persists and he's lost a great deal of weight. We haven't been able to move him. The stress makes him hyperallergic.
Sir, I am going to examine you. Do you understand? Inject him with a dose of pentobarbital, intramuscular, so that I can conduct the clinical examination. He bit his lips so much, they're still bleeding. White froth, evidently because of such drooling. His binds left bloody wounds.
So, Doctor, what should we do with this patient?
You did good work. The tranquilizer is kicked in. Now you can disinfect and bandage his wounds.
Thank you, Doctor. And as to his weight loss?
I'll prescribe an antifungal treatment for his dysgeusia. In the meantime, feed him intravenously.
It'll be done.
It's a quiet little town. Days go by, steady as ever. I wanted more for myself, but...
Dr. Colden.
Ethan,
Marie,
what are you doing here?
I'm waiting for my medication, of course. Why?
Tell me your symptoms.
I have headaches, and I can't sleep.
Do you suffer from insomnia?
No. Look, I don't want you to laugh at me.
Ethan, if you don't trust me, then who?
I have nightmares. They keep me awake every night. It seems stupid, I know, but they're terrible.
Actually, you're not the only one.
No. No one has ever seen the things I see. It's like I'm turning mad.
So many people have this affliction. It's like an epidemic.
Do you think it might be related to Fuller's work?
I don't know yet, but I will figure all this out. Everyone in Darkwater is suffering from nightmares.
Really?
We don't have any medication left.
Oh, there's no excuse then. I should let you work.
Take care, Ethan.
You too, Marie.
I don't get why they have us waiting so long. Almost no patients here.
Where did my fiancée go? I hope those nutcases will stop burdening her with work.
Sorry, but nobody can take anything until I finish the inventory.
Dr. Fuller always keeps his key with him. In theory, this is where we hang the key to the boiler room. The operating room is never accessible after an operation. I don't have any business in the boiler room. We're running out of this medicine.
I know, Doctor. We sent the purchase order, though, but Mrs. Donovan refused it.
Once again.
Can't you do anything?
Donovan takes her instructions directly from Dr. Fuller. I'm afraid I can do nothing about it for the moment. The doses prescribed by Fuller are far too high. We've been waiting to be restocked for weeks.
Everybody says it. She's a witch, an old hag. I didn't make this up.
Elizabeth? You all right? Why is this room in such a state?
Because, as always, I'm cleaning it by myself. And the water was once again shut off this morning. I had to bother Mrs. Donovan again, giving her a new excuse to belittle me.
Come now. Don't let that witch sap your morale. We're lacking in qualified personnel, and she knows it. Her petty punishments won't last forever.
I'm trying, Doctor. I'm trying. It's just that sometimes I imagine she shuts down the water herself, just for the pleasure of harassing me.
Her time is much too precious for these kind of petty games.
Anyway, I've learned my lesson. I'll hold my tongue next time.
Courage, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Doctor.
I have little time for you, Doctor. You'll find out that it's not only the doctors who have things to do. Wait a minute. Where do you think you're going? Dr. Colden?
Mrs. Donovan.
Nobody goes into Dr. Fuller's office. But rest assured, I'll tell him you came by.
That won't be necessary. Thank you.
I will tell him, nonetheless.